Good afternoon. I'm not going to put my face under there and say hello because I look in absolute state and I haven't got myself presentable, but that's fine. You can just imagine me looking absolutely stunning while I talk to you about basic colour theory. So what I've got here is the beginnings of a colour wheel, and you'll notice that I've got red, blue and yellow, and these are often known as primary colours because you can make other colours from these, and depending on the quality of your colour, you could make a very wide range of new hues or colours simply from red, blue and yellow. Now, I've done a little sample here of different ways you can start using these. So I've got some of these water things. So this is all using marker pens or these water soluble pencils. Now I've got to say they are doing really well because I've had them since I was about 13. I'm 50 now, so you do the maths, and they're absolutely brilliant. Prismalo, I definitely recommend getting some of those. I might ask for some new ones for Christmas because that yellow is about 2 inches long. It's not going to go much further, is it? So what I've done here is I used the brush pens and I did a bit of dabbing and mixing, and I want to see what happens if I use a bit of water on it. See if it will mix a bit better. Yeah, got a bit of green going on there. So just in case it's not obvious, if you mix blue and yellow, you get green. Now, depending on what kind of blue you mix with what kind of yellow, you will get a different result of green and how much blue and how much yellow as well. Let's have a look. Oh no, that's exactly what I was not meant to do. Luckily, I've got a paper towel ready. Oh no, I've washed this out. That's really annoying. Now that's a really good example of how to completely ruin everything you've done. Because if I'm mixing blue in with that orange, it's just going to go brown. Okay, well, don't do that. Use a clean one. I thought they were clean. I actually rinsed those under the taps, little bastards. Right, there we go. I've sort of washed all the colour off it, but you can see it's basically orange. Red and yellow makes orange. And down there at the bottom, we've got this red and this blue. Now, where I've stippled it, it has worked to an extent. So I'm going to demonstrate that because I think that's actually very interesting. So there were artists who used this technique well, they use the ends of brushes and dots. It's called stippling when you use the end of a pen like this. You're just creating little marks. And the artists who use this technique in their work were called pointillists. So it's like producing pixels, really. So you've got yellow pixels and red pixels, and when you place them together, it produces something that's different to them being separate. And do the yellow one as well, yellow and blue. So play around with this. Some colours will work better than others. It's not even that you're trying to make them mix, but you'll find that the results are really interesting. I'm going to do a separate session on this pointillism actually. Oh no, I wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to do dots, wasn't I? Silly woman. So that's how I made the initial ones. So with these brush pens and then a little bit of water, and I've already created out of 3 colours another 3 colours. I've just used these really cheap kids Crayola pens as well, and you can see what's happened. They've got, you know, and that's a lighter blue. The red's not bad. The yellow, that's a very lemony yellow. I'm quite interested to see what happens if I add some water to that. I quite like that now. That's actually, it's quite a good yellow-green. So in between yellow and green is yellow-green. So whatever colours you've got, you can think, well, where would I place them on this wheel of colour? Maybe you'd mix a bit of that in with that. It's quite faint. And then, so what happens if you mix green and blue? Actually, I should say blue and green, because blue's the primary, green's the secondary. Well, you're going to get, hopefully, a blue-green. So the more green you've got, it's going to be greener, and the more blue you've got, it's going to be bluer. So how many colours is that now? That's another 2. And we could go back and blend that in a bit more. No, I don't know if that's going to work. It's probably too dry now. So then down here, this is now violet, because we've mixed the blue and the red together. So it would be, if we mix these 2, blue, violet. And the more blue you have, the cooler it looks, and the more violet you have in it, the warmer it looks. So what you end up with when you make a colour wheel is one side that looks cooler and another side that looks warmer. That's actually quite a good range of colour. It's pretty much just out of 3 brush pens. I'm pleased with that. Now let's go the other way. So we've got our orange here, which didn't go very well because I messed it up, so I'm gonna mix that bit there. Okay, there isn't a lot of pigment on there, so we're not going to get a really bright colour. But if we mix this and this together, we're going to get more of a yellow orange. It's better if you haven't let them completely dry when you're trying to blend them. Let's just dab that. And then we've got the red and the orange. That's going to make, that's right, red orange. Now, depending on the pigments that you've got in these pens, you can end up with different variations. So it might be really rich and then you'll get some really rich colours, or you might end up with stuff that's a bit watery. But still, you know, I think that's pretty good. And then of course we're gonna do red and violet, which makes, yeah, red violet. And it's dried out a bit, so it's not brilliant. I do find that with a lot of pigments, the red violet ends up being a bit browny. So in general, I would probably just find some violet pigment rather than trying to make my own. Whereas I find that with greens and yellows and oranges and reds and blue violets, I'm pretty happy. But yeah, that to me is very unsatisfactory. So if I explain what I mean with a couple of red violet pens, what have we got here? I suppose it depends what you're after. I mean, this lot here, it could be okay depending on what you're looking for. That's 2 completely different makes of pen. They're exactly the same colour. So what happens if I mix this? That's a nice rich colour. And then that's better. Yeah. again, yeah, it really depends on your pigments. So you'll see that I've got a kind of an inverted triangle of the blue, red and yellow. That's because I wanted to talk to you about contrasting or opposite colours. So I've put the red here next to the green because it's opposite on the colour wheel. And if you want to use colour combinations that are really eye-catching, then opposites are great for that. And you can also come up with your own favourite groups of colours. So you might be somebody who really likes blues and greens, and you might want to make a composition that's got, you know, green, blue, or yellow, green, blue, green. So you could have a set of similar colours, and the other word for that is analogous. So it's not just these three that you can have contrasting colours with. So everything that's opposite on here will have a contrasting colour. So for example, yellow green will be red violet. So where's that awful colour? There it is. That's the opposite colour to that. If I use a bit of water on that, it might calm down a bit and be a bit more acceptable. But proper lemon yellow would be a bit less leery. So you can play around with this and see what you like, because it's totally up to you what you're into. And then I wanted to show what I've done with the hatching and see how that works. So I've got some fine liners here, and I was just wondering if I could make a purple, like I've done here with the stippling. Could I make secondary colours, whoops, with hatching? What do you reckon? Yeah, it works. Gosh, I'm amazed how tired I'm getting doing this actually. I'm gonna have to probably finish off, even though I'm really enjoying it. This and this are not as easy as the others to mix, and often when you're using yellow, you're gonna have to use a lot more yellow than red, because red has got so much more pigment in it. Yeah. Well, there you go. That is a basic colour wheel, and I've given you some basic colour theory. Let's just have a little cheeky little play here. Drop that one on the floor. Oh yeah. because I'm quite interested to show you. Oh, I think that's too much blue. Oh, I'm really struggling today, aren't I? So I could go all the way around the wheel doing opposite colours on all of them. That could be fun. So you could do it with blending those 3 colours that you've used, or you could go, oh, actually, I want to see where my other colours fit in. So I've got an orange here, and so is that going to be on the yellow side? Yeah, that is. That's quite a yellowy orange. I've got a sunset yellow, which I'm getting out with my mouth. That's a terrible idea, Joanne. You can end up really injuring yourself. Okay, here's a lemon yellow. So that should go, which side? Warm or cool? That's right, cool. Here we go, and that contrasts really well with the red violet. And I've got a sunset yellow. So imagine that's going to be warmer. It's not going to be quite as warm as the orange. There we go. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm working out what I've got, what's available to me in my palette of colours, and what's going to happen if I add a little bit of water to them. Could I use these to make a painting? They're a bit wishy-washy, actually. If I'm doing an autumnal painting, I don't want any of this wishy-washy stuff going on. I want really nice, rich colours. So this is going to help me make a decision about it. I've got some greens here that I want to look at. I picked these out as probably being the most suitable for my autumn artworks, or just my autumn fun. So these have got a bit of brown in with them. So if you imagine me mixing the opposite colours together, red and green, yeah, that would make something a bit darker than that, a bit browner than that. So you can get warm browns. So if you mix a warm green and a warm brown, you could get warm brown. So that for me, yeah, I'm not really that chuffed with it. What's happening if I... It's not really doing anything for me. I could use that for some, you know, some leaves that are not turning yet. But this one, this is a green tea, so that's going to be somewhere here. That's really useful because a lot of leaves look that colour when they're changing. It's sort of a mixture of these two, so you might want to blend those together. Yeah, we use that one. Chamomile. Now that's going to be a sort of browny greeny yellow. Yeah, so I would imagine if I'd mixed that green with a sort of orange, it would come out a bit like that. So let's give it a go. I can't find the orange. Oh, here it is. This is a kind of gingery orange. It's going to change again if you add water to it. I've got cadmium orange here, which is going to be more towards red. So red orange, which I think I've completely forgotten to talk about. So red orange would be opposite. Can't remember. God, that is serious. Fatigue. So I better stop now. But I hope that this has been helpful. So just have a bit of a play. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and work out which of your colours you would like to use for doing some autumnal expressive artworks, painting, drawing, mark making, and I'll see you when I've had a rest and I know what I'm talking about. Thank you, bye.